if you are feeling bad, if you are not connecting to something that shifts your heart a little bit open, it is equivalent to you trying to just rearrange your furniture on a Titanic. In other words, if you are feeling really bad, for that moment, maybe walk your dog, have that favorite coffee that you want, talk to a friend who makes you laugh, and then maybe experience what's going on inside of you from that objective perspective. It doesn't mean that you're avoiding it, but at least it helps you get out of the cave to see some light so you can bring more light to the shadows.
Welcome to the Thriving After Divorce podcast, where you learn the secrets to reclaim your life and turn your breakup into your breakthrough. Transformation expert, internationally published author, and online show host Tanya Marie Dubé will help you quickly pick up and move on as you tune into interviews with some pretty cool experts from around the world, showing you how to live your best life after divorce. If you're ready to learn the skills to finally put your divorce behind you for good, dig down really deep, and step into your highest self, then you're in the right place. Here's your host, online educator and mom of two, Tanya Marie Dubé.
Thank you so much for coming back with us again this week. I would love to remind you to please like, comment, subscribe, share, and review this podcast. With my online video series, we reached over 300,000 women all over the world. And my goal with this podcast is to reach 1 million women globally. So with your help, I know we can do this. When you teach a woman, you teach an entire community, and the love spreads. So please share this message with your community, and let's reach this goal together. So today, I am so excited to bring you Ray Doktor. He is a breakthrough life coach. He has a master's in counseling psychology and a doctorate in clinical psychology. He has conducted workshops and lectures in the United States, Netherlands, and Brazil. He has shared the same stages and panels with Marianne Williamson, Bruce Lipton, and Eckhart Tolle, and John Gray. He's appeared on the E! Channel and HBO. You might have also heard him on the LA Talk Radio or Talk America Radio. Visit raydoktor.com for more information. So let's welcome Ray. Hi, Ray. I'm so happy to have you on the show. Thank you so much for being here. How are you?
I'm very excited to do this. I just got back from Rite Aid to buying some Christmas stuff. So excited to do this. And I just realized I said that if someone hears us later on, yes, it's December.
Yes, it's December, and Rite Aid is, what do you call it in the States? Here we've got Shoppers Drug Mart. It's the place that you can go to get your medication, among other things.
Rite Aid's the same way, but they got a lot of other things, and they have like 50% off of like Christmas items. So I'm going all out this year.
Oh, you're hilarious. Let's get started with, okay, so tell us, what is it that you do, and why did you find yourself in this work?
I am considered a breakthrough life coach, and it primarily is focused on relationships. And in that doesn't mean necessarily a lover. It's usually always goes back to the relationship with yourself, and how you feel about yourself is how you're going to see the world. So if you're having a crappy day, you don't feel good about yourself, then everything outside yourself is going to be a reflection of that. So the work I do goes deep into that, to remove the limited beliefs about yourself and everything else to create the life you want. In a way that I got into is I was trained as a clinical psychologist first, or I basically was going down that path, but I kind of had a more spiritual Eastern perspective. And I also was coaching way before I got the degrees. So therefore, the way I work and how I fell into this was just by figuring it out, following my highest excitement. And like many people out there in the healing arts, I didn't have the best childhood.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that or no?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't say it in a negative way, but just, my father served in 3 major wars. He's 93. I'm not sure if he's going to even make it through this month. His birthday is tomorrow. He turns 93. And, he suffered with PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder. And through that, I grew up with a lot of yelling and tension and so forth. So, but I love who I am. And I do know that through that, my childhood experiences, I couldn't change it. I can see all the links and the creations of my life and how it really built my character, including my brothers. So it's really strange. We both, from what we experienced with our parents, we both basically left our redneck town. We both went to college. We both became so much more than, say, majority of people there. And it doesn't mean I'm judging them. It's just that according to societal's markers, they would probably see us as being successful, or, you know what I mean? That we didn't like continue to do what everyone else is doing. We got out of our small town and did much more than majority of people we grew up with.
Wow. And, you know, I think honestly, there's something to be said for having gone through some craziness in your life if you're going to put yourself in a position to help other people through their pain.
Absolutely. If you can't walk through hell, you know, if you can't walk through the shadows, then how can you even listen to other people's stories?
And get to the level where you need to actually feel, you know, what it is that they're saying in their words and be able to read the subtext too, I find, right?
Yes.
Well, happy birthday to your dad, 93 tomorrow. That's amazing.
Yes.
Oh, well, thank you very, very much for sharing that with us. You said to me that you work primarily with men, women, and couples work, but we're going to talk specifically about women who are going through divorce and separation in this interview. So in your expert opinion, what do you see most common in single women around this time of year?
Well, the thing is because, you know, you're part of the collective consciousness, meaning that you're seeing probably advertisement with women being like, it's a great time to buy a diamond ring, to you see couples out and about, to even where you might remember your parents being happy together or being a very difficult time. But there's a lot of tensions. It could be because of financial stuff, whatever. But when I say the collective consciousness, that during the holidays, everywhere you go, there is this idea that you should be having fun. And this is the time to celebrate. So if you are just recently going through a divorce or you're single, you can easily just judge yourself. And if you've never dealt with being alone, if you've never dealt with kind of that discomfort, and honestly, most people don't realize this until they break up, or that they lose their job, or all these other identities that give them some sense of, I would say, false self, that they feel that emptiness, that void, and it seems to be more prominent during the holidays, because the holidays are telling you celebrate, and it's family, and it's all these ideas that seems like not just me by myself, but being connected to others. And what time during the year that signifies that, oh, you know, you should be invited out. And that's another thing too. If you've been just in a relationship for a long time, many of the friends that you hung out with might be people you're not hanging out with anymore because they're his friends or whatever. So you've also chosen to be in a relationship like this, to where now you're like, oh my God, I'm a single person. What do I do? This is a learning curve. And so you're seeing other people out and about, and maybe you're kind of rusty as far as connected to people. So big reasons.
Wow. I can totally relate to that. I remember, so this will now be my third Christmas separated. I think it is. I'm losing track of the numbers, but I think it is. But I remember the first one. The first one was really, really difficult for people who are maybe just approaching, this is their first Christmas, or you can relate and look back. It was hard. It was almost like the silence of the apartment was deafening. Do you know what I mean? It was absolutely. It was all of everything you just said. The ads, seeing everybody happy, and suddenly there's couples everywhere. And you're just like, am I seriously in the Twilight Zone? That's exactly what I felt like. Yeah. And
it's also, you know, I spent the last 3 Christmases by myself also, but also with my son. And I was attempting to connect to tribe and family. But by the way, so I'm a single father. I raise my son on my own. His mother gets him every other weekend. So it's a different type of arrangement that we've both chosen to do. But in that also, that I wasn't married to her. I wasn't, it was one of the situations where it was a one-night stand. And so I found out I had a child, and he was 6 months old. And I found out about it through a text message, which is the perfect way to share information like that. And in the experience, it's where, okay, well, I experienced Christmas, like other Christmases and the holidays, with people who were single, different types of parent, or not, different types of adults, and those experiences. But now here I was with a child, not knowing how to do this, and kind of feeling that and feeling inadequate, not feeling like I wasn't giving him something by the same thing. And here I've done the work, meaning that I don't really have like these lonely feelings, and I've come to a place to really love myself and feel really good. However, with my child there, it was amplifying maybe something I had not worked through, or how maybe also the holidays, I used to use that as a way to avoid. It's easy for me to travel to Europe or somewhere else. But here I was homebound with my child, not really able to find distractions to get me out of feeling a particular way. And there I was with that empty feeling. And it reminded me of that empty feeling I had when I grew up with my parents. My father, during the holidays, he would just get really quiet and withdraw. And I don't know what he saw during the war and other things, but it was always kind of a dark experience. And I realized with my son, I'm like, oh my God, that's similar to how I felt with my father. And yet everything in a way looks perfect right now. So what's happening inside of me? What's happening inside of him? What associations am I drawn to Christmas for him? And how do I want to do that differently? And that is why I go balls to the wall to celebrate now. Now I've turned it into a holiday for the soul, not for the traditional reasons, but for more of what I want to create with him, which is something that, it would be recommended for people who are single, because, you're going to be doing it differently if you have kids. You're going to be doing it differently if you now are a little bit older and maybe you feel as though you have less options or whatever. I mean, the thing is, there's no limitations. It's just being creative and knowing that you can create what you really want.
My goodness, I love something that you just said that totally stood out to me was pay attention to what's going on inside you. I always talk about with clients of mine, I always say, I talk about this triad of emotional, this triad of emotional state, I guess you could say, where when you're finding yourself in a funk and you don't really know how to get out of it, there's 3 things that I think that you should do. One of them is check the language that you're using in your head and the words that are coming out of your mouth. 2, pay attention to your body language, right? See what your body's doing. Sit up, dance, do jumping jacks, do something to get out of your out of that emotional state, and then ask yourself where your focus is. Because if it's not serving you, there's really no point to be stuck in some kind of loop that goes over and over again. So what you just said pulled that out of me. I was thinking that's so true. When we're sitting here feeling low or we're struggling emotionally, for one reason or another, it's really easy to just get stuck inside of that.
I really like what you just shared, because you said get some movement, whatever it is. And you're hearing from someone who has worked with over 6,000 clients, and I've worked with ritualistic abuse. So meaning that I've worked with really the stuff that a lot of, say, psychologists, psychiatrists would not want to touch, or it'd be difficult for them also. So I've been down that path. And so sharing that, there's this idea that you have to talk about the past, that this could be some type of bypass from your emotions, or it's even called sometimes a spiritual bypass. You don't really connect to emotions. However, this is where what you just shared is a little bit different. If you are feeling bad, if you are not connecting to something that shifts your heart a little bit open, it is equivalent to you trying to just rearrange your furniture on a Titanic. Okay? It'd be best just to get off the boat and then get into the lifeboat and then connect yourself. In other words, if you are feeling really bad, go walk for that moment, maybe walk your dog, have that favorite coffee that you want, talk to a friend who makes you laugh, watch something that's funny, and then maybe experience what's going on inside of you from that objective perspective. It doesn't mean that you're avoiding it, but at least it helps you get out of the cave to see some light so you can bring more light to the shadows.
I love that. It's all about mindfulness and awareness of where you're at in the moment. Yes, for sure.
Yes.
Now, I wanted to also talk to you about how children are affected by our moods and how we can draw healthy and fun associations to being single with our kids, especially during the holidays.
Well, like I mentioned earlier, it's that, remember, so my son's basically his neurobiology and basically his entire neurological system is being created by his experience with me, but how I also draw connections to it. Like, for an example, if he cuts his hand and he's bleeding or anything else, that with me, it's calm. He doesn't freak out when he sees blood. However, he told me the other day in front of his mom that she totally freaked out when he got a bloody nose. She just becomes really emotional. And I'm not saying it's bad or good, but he didn't freak out. He was the calm one. I kind of laugh about that, because, he's learning my biology, my response, say, to him being injured. Now, take that also, and how would that apply to November and December? Now, you can't really fake it. They're going to feel you. They're going to feel you. They're going to mirror your neurons. So it is about doing your own work and being able to connect to that state, because they're drawing associations to that also, just like I did. So remember, I mentioned that it was like a dark time for my brother and I. So when I became a teenager, I started drinking alcohol, taking drugs during the holidays, not knowing what it was, but I was trying to escape this void. And then it led to, when I was in my 20s and I was making a little bit more money, then it was going on vacations. And so I was just avoiding it. So the thing is that it's that you want to be able to be with it, create what you want, because they are watching you. They're watching you. And some of you are listening to this and you're thinking, oh my God, I can't believe I damaged my kids. 4 years ago, I wish I knew this stuff and blah, blah, blah. It's not like that at all, because here's the thing. As you know, all of us have eaten McDonald's. Yeah. All of us have basically seen movies where there's patriarchy and they push women down. And now look at the women rising up. Nothing's going to keep down the human spirit. So we could be influenced by our parents, we could be influenced by our culture and whatever, but the human spirit can go beyond that anyway. So you don't know, at the end of the day, even though I say you want to be healthy, you don't know what your child is capable of and what they're experiencing. And including my story, doing drugs and alcohol, and I even overdosed on PCP.
No way.
And here I am with a doctorate in clinical psychology, and I feel as though I have it together. I live a very happy life. So I came out of that, and I'm able to bring that light to my son. So no matter what, you never know. It's just you do the best that you can, and be in your heart and be gentle with yourself. And if you're really connecting to this recording, just remember this, that they're intuitive and they want you to be happy. And more than often, if you're sad, what they'll do is try to make you glad or happy for several reasons once. Their sense of self is very connected to you. So if you're not present with yourself, you're not going to be present with them. And if you're not present with them, even if they're older, through their primal biology, they can die because you're not going to know when they're sick or when they're hungry or anything else. So that's why so many of us, even as adults, we seek approval, because it's connected to our primal biology. Feed me, protect me, provide for me, provide shelter for me. So a lot of times we think kids are trying to make us happy for the sake of just happiness itself, but sometimes it's even deeper than that. And I don't think you want to parentify your children. You want them to be autonomous and experience Christmas the way that they would like to, which is typically a joyful way. Whereas with you, you can actually bring them down because you're having a different experience.
Wow.
So, yes.
Can you, just because there's going to be people who don't understand what parentifying your child means, can you tell us what that means?
That means when you are talking to your child about maybe your ex-husband in a negative way, it's when you're going to your child for support. It is when your child has shown up for you to hold space for you.
Oh, that's really important to pay attention to, because it's not their job to do that for us. It's our job to show up for them. I completely get that. And the energy in the room, that's something I've really paid attention to. As you know, I've got 2 children. I've got a 13-year-old girl and an almost 8-year-old boy. And watching them, I can feel their energy in their own space, right? So if something's going down in my own personal life, around them is not the place to do it. I can feel that off of them. And they're always seeking, like they're always looking to see how you are. And they do want to make you happy. They're always asking if you're okay,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And, yes, they, there's a point they get to an age where they really connect their own happiness and they just want to be around positive, high vibe people. But typically early on, there's also this unconscious connection to survival, because the thing is that, remember, also, when you wanted something, then you upset your parent. Typically, they gave you a look of like, it could be disgust or annoyance or whatever. And you take that personally. You don't feel good about it. You don't want to see that face ever again. It's interesting how much we draw so much power to our parents. And it's remind me of a story. It's a true story that when they train little elephants that, they just have a rope or, wrapped around its neck and tied to a little tree. And when this beautiful elephant grows up and could just rip out even a big tree, that if they were to put, say, a chain on it that's not familiar with, that the elephant might just break the chain or walk off. However, you put that same flimsy rope, including maybe even tie it to that flimsy tree, it stays.
Really?
Yes, it
Why?
stays because some association to safety, to what's familiar. But also remember, when it's
Oh.
smaller at that age, it's very vulnerable and helpless. So therefore, humans' approval, they are feeding them. They're raising this elephant early on, thinking that if, for me to do this, for me to live, for me to survive, I need to stay by this little tree.
Wow. Elephants are so smart too.
And again, remember that's theory. I'm not like talking to an elephant.
No.
But if you can look at that kind of in a light way, with broad strokes, and just say, and look at us as human beings, we're taught the same thing so many ways, in very subtle, unconscious ways, that, our sense of self and survival is rooted in our parents' approval.
Approval. Oh my goodness. That's a lot to think about, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I like how you're saying that sometimes it's not just that they want to make us happy, but there's also, a primal biology there.
Yes. Yes.
Right. Okay. So now I wanted to ask you about any tips or exercises that you have for women who are divorced and going through the holiday alone to get themselves into that state of joy. Is there anything more you want to share on that?
Yes, before I give a little bit like some other exercise or techniques, I kind of want to give it's called the pumpkin jug analogy, and I think this is the perfect time to share this. So,
Okay.
And you understand this. So, there's an old story about a farmer who finds a pumpkin that has just started to develop. To protect a little pumpkin against the natural elements of life, he puts a pumpkin into a jug. Then he carries on with his life and forgets about the pumpkin. When it comes to harvest time, the pumpkin has grown only as large as the jug. So the jug that once protected it eventually limits its growth. So think about your own lives. Think about the things that you say are comfortable and things are uncomfortable. The things that are uncomfortable also might be the things, once you move through them, will allow you to grow. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so being single brings up a lot of stuff. I have to meet new people. Being single brings up your own judgment. How are people going to judge me that I say, you might see your marriage as being as failed or whatever. So it's not so much about more than often that what it is that you did. There's nothing innately wrong. It's more self-judgment and also being able to move past your discomfort, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So this time of the year, there's a lot going on. There's maybe tension, there's pressure, or whatever else. These are a few different exercises that you can do. Okay. So in fact, could I just take you through this?
Yes, please do.
Because that's a lot easier for me than talking about it.
Sure. Let's go.
So allow yourself, Tanya, to connect to something. Just doesn't have to be really difficult, but just something that you could think of right off. It could be some other parent who seems to give you dirty looks. It could be as simple as just something you're trying to work through in a current relationship, or it could even be a business challenge where you feel like you're not enough or you don't have enough information. It doesn't have to be something traumatic, but other people listen to us. It could be anything, even beyond that. So I want you to allow yourself to connect to that story that you think has given you a negative experience,
Okay.
and allow yourself to really fully connect to the negative thought, the idea of whatever that is. And remember, saying dating during December, there's no real truth in that unless you believe it. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So even that, it might be, I don't like being single, and you feel uncomfortable with that. You might say, I really don't like the holidays or whatever the energy is, and you're blaming it on the holidays. Allow yourself to fully feel that in your body, and even allow yourself to breathe into your body and connect to maybe where you feel the energy generating. Okay. Allow yourself to just move into where it's generating. All right?
Mm-hmm.
And then allow yourself to dissociate from the reason why you think you might be feeling this, such as Here, you might think it's the holidays. You might think it's because you're single. It might be whatever it is. Remember, your mind is thinking you're feeling this energy because of this. What I'm inviting you to do is let go of those thoughts and just be with the sensations of the energy. No connection to the evidence of why you might feel this. No connection to negativity, but more the energy. And when I say sensations, it would be no differently than you jumping into cold water and your body first feels a shock of it. Usually your brain will say this is cold and you turn it to hot or warmer. However, if you stay in cold water a little longer, you actually start feeling like sometimes more alive. You feel prickly energy in your skin. It's a sensation. You move past the coldness and what you know about cold water. Same thing I'm inviting you to do with this is that allow yourself to connect to since once you feel anger or sadness, move into the sensations of what that feels like in your body with no attachment to it being bad or good or pushing it away. And take a deep breath into that, breathing into that. And now just recognize this energy, this benign energy that's actually neutral is the energy that also is used to create what you want. It's also the opposite of, say, the negative, to where you end up moving in a direction of a new type of guy you want to attract to a new business, meaning that more and often when we decide to change, it's through some maybe sudden disruption. And that energy, we move that into creative energy and we move that. So the same energy that you once have labeled as negativity or bad now has no connection to, we're redirecting that to, where would you put this energy? Would you put it into shopping and find yourself something really cute to wear? Would you do that into maybe put that energy into making that phone call to that person that you really want to say sorry to or say I love you to? Would you want to start a new hobby? Or would you want to even just sit with the energy and just let it go? But this is neutral energy that can be used as passion. You can be passionate about murdering someone, and you can be passionate about saving a life. Understand that?
Yeah.
It's the same energy within your body. It's we human beings who define it as being negative, but it's more that what makes it negative is that it's being filtered through our consciousness and we're directing it towards a negative act or belief. What I just invite you to do is strip away negative thoughts or energies and emotions, strip away the evidence, the judgments of it, and move it into the direction of what you want to create.
I love that. I love what you just said too about removing words that label the experiences as good or bad. That's really important, I think, because we are just deciding that it's really bad or really good. And I think if we can stay as close to, somebody explained this to me a little while ago. She said to me, if we can stay, let's just say 0, the middle point of both sides of you, right? Let's say we can stay at 0. If 0 is God or source or whatever you want to call that space, if we say that that is the most level place that we can be and the most connected to ourselves, then anything too far left or too far right is just too far. It's too far away from 0. So having extreme, emotions one way or the other just means that you are that disconnected from yourself.
Yes, absolutely. Even people who are fanatically spiritual. So meaning that that it can go either way. You said far, if you go too far out. I'm only mentioning that because my mentor once told me that, he has worked with people who are so spiritual that they were no earthly good, meaning that they were not grounded and really out there, forgetting or where they are to where they get in car accidents because they weren't connected to third dimensional reality, which is here on earth. So to be a fully integrated spiritual being, you also need to be connected to your human experience, which is your human emotions.
Yeah. Wow, that's really interesting. I was just having this conversation the other day. This is fascinating that we're talking about this now. Okay, so now the next question I have for you is, Well, I believe that you are who you hang with. And I talk about this all the time about surrounding yourself with some amazing people so that you can rise up, reach up, and you're not always going to be the smartest person in the room. I think that's a bad idea. I think you should always have people who are smarter than you. So what are your tips around surrounding yourself with the best possible people, especially when you're going through divorce and separation, so that you can find happiness and peace and support and success? And in that, we're going to be weeding out the rest, right?
Yes. So before I go into that, I just want to share one little thing, because it's one thing to still not feel good and try to do this, and it fell, and you blame the technique or our advice versus you didn't really look at yourself. Okay. Yeah. So I just want to preface that. But just 3 quick things. And that is 1, self-awareness. That is, who am I? Who am I as a single person? How do I want to feel? What state do I want to be in? And what do I need to do to better support myself to be in that state if I arrive to a party or people? That's 1. 2, it's reflections and points of view of other people, meaning that, people see different aspects of us only. So in other words, when I drop my son off at school, typically I'm in a rush. So sometimes they approach me, talk to me, and they talk to me without knowing that I'm actually pretty chill. And they're like, Mr. Doctor, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, hey, I'm right here. But I've given them an impression I'm in a hurry, or at least that's the projection they have. So the reason why I bring this up is because people are going to perceive you within that context, and also the framework in which they've come to know people who maybe smell, look like you, dress like you. So just be aware, wherever you're going, you don't know how they see you. So it's very important that you see yourself how you want to be. Okay? Then number 3 is that what I just shared in all of this is that, how do I want to feel regardless of all this? What emotions? So before, I give you these tips, just remember that you feeling good is most important. And whatever it takes, whatever is your permission slip, getting your nails done, getting a massage, I don't know what it is, a glass of wine. It's just connecting to that energy, that state of like, I'm open, I'm available, and everything else. Then everything typically lines up with that, if that makes sense. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. So number 1 would be accept all invitations. Even if, don't give excuse why you can't do it or you have to get a babysitter, accept them all with a possibility, getting the energy of just being invited out. Just the energy. Because remember, if you're rusty and it was always about you and John going out, and now you're being invited as yourself, as Samantha or whatever it is, it's that you want to get in the energy of, because remember, people stop inviting you out because you maybe said no. So just accept all invitations. 2, volunteer for a holiday help, because high quality people who really want to do good things on this planet, usually show up there. So if you want to meet a high quality man, he might be volunteering there, okay? Or also, he's just trying to distract his time with doing something healthy and giving. And what's more attractive than a man who wants to give his heart, okay? Even create, a +1 dinner party, and meaning that you invite a girlfriend, but she has to invite a man. It could be specifically a male friend. That's a great way, and that's a little technique, is where you invite 4 people, but part of it is that they invite a new friend. And it doesn't mean you're hook up with someone. It's just that there's new people to meet.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, you can also create a Christmas wrapping party. How many people dislike wrapping presents? They wait till the last minute. You throw a party, even have this dinner where people bring their presents, and you just have a great time wrapping the presents and maybe each other.
That's very cute.
This is important too. I have about 10 different Christmas outfits. And I always get people, their conversation starters, wear Christmas funny sweaters. Women wear sexy red clothes and whatever, sparkly stuff. Even maybe look goofy with the elf ears, because men are really shy, and, of course, with Me Too movement and the uncertainty about how to approach a woman now, when you appear being funny and that you don't take yourself so seriously, you're easier to approach. Take that from a man who is not afraid to approach a woman. Still, I have that feeling and that energy of, oh God, I could be rejected. But when I see lightheartedness immediately, I feel like it's an easier permission slip for me to show up and say, hi, I'm Ray. Nice to meet you. Right?
Yeah, I just want to make a little note on the whole, I find that this is an interesting, just a little side thing, just about men not knowing how to approach women because of the Me Too movement and all of that. I'm just going to put it out there for any of the men who are listening. It's really, really, really simple for women to be respectful, to be kind, to just show up as yourself. You don't have to have any expectations attached to just starting a conversation, right? But I just wanted to put that out there. A whole group of us were having this conversation the other day, and a guy in the group said, well, now we don't even know what we're allowed to say or do. And I said, okay, you need to calm down a little bit. It's really, really simple. Women don't like, the showy stuff or we don't like a guy pretending to be something that he's not, So I just want to put that out there for anybody who is uncertain of how to approach a woman. That's it in a nutshell.
I can add to that, but I'm not going to take up the show. That would be a long conversation because I do share a lot of tips of men about even other stuff, such as remove needy energy and show up as you have a gift to offer. It's a different frequency of energy. Therefore, a woman's not going to put you in a box of what now? What do you want from me? Versus showing up of, hi, I'm here, I'm light, and I'm here to co-create this conversation with no attachments.
Yeah. Right? Those are the best kinds of conversations.
Yes.
Did you have some more tips for us?
Just basically, I know people heard this before, but of course it's, take classes, going, the thing about it, or join a meetup, whatever. It's just, the thing is, or also even offer to help someone decorate their tree or house, meaning that it could be like, you might be around neighbors who always go all out and you're thinking, God, I wish I could be like that. Well, then be like that. Help them out. There's no separation. People, I know we're so much more. It's also with what's happened politically. We feel so much that we're divided. But when it comes to Christmas, when it comes to love, when it comes to relationships, there's very common things that we seem to really connect eye to eye and I would say heart to heart. And people really want to help. You'd be surprised. And during this time of year, people are vulnerable. Even people who look like they have it together and they're just having this amazing time with their family, that they're part of the collective consciousness. They feel you. They feel what's going on. Be aware you're part of that, and people really want to help and support you.
I really love that. It takes it down to love. It's really nice knowing that, and I really do believe how you walk out into the world is what you will get in return. So if you think, it's going to be negative, you will probably have a negative experience.
Yes.
Now, let's get to you have an amazing free gift for everybody for showing up today. So can we talk about your free relationship blueprint? So
there is a book on my website called Your Relationship Blueprint, and it has 2 exercises to break down your associations to possibly even the holidays to relationships in a really simple way to remove that and to reframe who you are and how you want to be. So very much everything we spoke about, there is a simple process in this book, a very simple short read to how to do that with yourself, to understand yourself better. It asks the right questions and it takes you through a process. That's the best way to describe it.
And I will have the link for that for everybody in the description of the podcast. So let me just say thank you so much, Ray. You brought so much to the table today to talk about it. And I think that you and I could probably go on for a lot longer.
Yes, absolutely. We always have fun with these conversations.
I know I do. Thank you so much for coming today.
You're so welcome.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. You are listening to Thriving After Divorce Radio Podcast. I am your host, Tanya Marie Dubé. Have a great week, and we will see you next Monday. Bye, Ray.
Bye.
Thank you again so much for joining us on the Thriving After Divorce Radio Podcast. We're coming to you every Monday morning so that you can start your week with intention and some powerful advice for what you're dealing with. So please subscribe to this podcast and share it with your friends and your family. My goal is to help change 1 million lives with this work, because when you teach a woman, you teach an entire community. Everybody benefits and the love spreads. So please feel free to comment, review, share, and like. With your help, I know I can reach this goal. So have a beautiful day, and we will see you next week.